People are not going to like the answer to this question because the answer is, and I look, I have no reason to not tell you the truth. I've never used more than.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
The highest amount of GH you've taken for at least a few months, and what was your takeaway?
People are not going to like the answer to this question because the answer is, and I look, I have no reason to not tell you the truth. I've never used more than 4 IUs per day consistently, for a length of time. So that's the most I ever used. And the reason is, number one, I always had real GH, despite whatever my crime was, years ago, getting caught with whatever, some fake GH. But when I used GH, we used pharmacy GH, and the most I ever used was 4. The reason I did that was because I got such good results from 4 with the least amount of side effects. Have I tried to take more? Yeah, for maybe 2 days in a row. I think I took 6 once, or 7 or 8, because I had an injury or something like that. And all I noticed was, while my upper body looked freaky looking on it, because it makes you look, fuller and rounder, my stomach got really distended from it, and I felt super bloated, to the bloated. And you guys know what I'm talking about. You can get so bloated sometimes that your eyes become like little slits. You wake up in the morning, you can't even open your eyes because your face is so bloated. And to me, that was not, number one, it wasn't a good look, but it wasn't a good feel. It didn't feel good. Holding like an extra 15 pounds of water is not comfortable. It's not like holding an extra 15 pounds of muscle. It's very uncomfortable. You lose flexibility. The front of your calves hurt all the time, where your tibialis is, because there's too much pressure in there because of the fluid. And so I never stayed on more than 4 IUs per day, because 4 IUs seemed to be the sweet spot. And to be honest with you, 3 IUs was even better. And probably toward the last couple of years of my competitive career, I was doing 3 IUs per day, because 4 was almost too much. Once again, if you're using real growth hormone, from the pharmacy, you'll notice there's a big difference. I know a lot of people tell me they don't feel anything. I never used the Chinese GH because I was just lucky I had good sources, but everyone tells me that the Chinese GH just seems like it's not as potent. And then when they go and use the pharmacy, the real pharma GH, they notice a bigger difference. So that is a possibility that it's not dosed properly. But I'm telling you, if you have real GH, there's no reason to take more than 4 IUs per day, because you know what? Your body's limited by how much IGF it can release in response to the GH. Plus, you're going to make yourself insulin resistant, which means you're going to run high blood sugars. You're not going to absorb your food properly. Not to mention, you're going to hold a lot of fluid. A lot of people complain of their fingers being tingly all the time, and their toes, because there's so much fluid retention cutting off circulation. So I don't see a benefit of doing it. I think I always said my golden rule with GH was, you're better off taking less over a longer period of time than a lot over a shorter period of time. It just seems to work better that way.
Is Tren a harsh compound because of its physical effects or its mental effects? Personally, in his words, he says it's the best mental health drug he's ever had.
A lot of people, I always felt really good on it, when I took it back in the day. It made me a little irritable. My bullshit meter was a lot higher, or lower maybe. I didn't deal with BS as much because I was a little on edge from it. But I never took a lot. I used to take like 50 milligrams like every other day, and that seemed to work really well. And even that would keep me awake at night. Made it very hard to fall asleep at night. So I guess for some people, the Trenbolone mental effects are bad. Like if you already have anxiety disorder, or you're already like stressed out, or you just, you're a little ADD, Trenbolone can make that worse. If you're pretty well adjusted, like I'm pretty balanced, I'm pretty like mellow normally. So it didn't really, agitate me enough where it was like disruptive to my life. It was, but it definitely, it definitely makes it hard to sleep at night for me. And I definitely noticed it raised my blood pressure a little bit. And that's where the danger is. When people start bumping that Trenbolone dosage up to, I know guys taking like 1,000 milligrams over the week, they're out of their minds. Your blood pressure is going to go through the roof. And that's why, Trenbolone has a reputation of being kidney toxic. It's not kidney toxic. And I've said this a lot of times before, but it's warrant mentioning again. It raises blood pressure. And when your blood pressure is high, that's what damages the kidneys. So it's indirectly damaging to the kidneys, but nonetheless, it still has a negative effect on the kidneys because of the fact that it does raise blood pressure. Problem is you don't even know it, because the reason they call high blood pressure the silent killer is because no one knows they have it until it's killed you. So you got to get a blood pressure cuff in there. If I may. I got this from Temu. I know you hear me talk about Temu. Temu, I think I paid $6 for this thing. It's an auto inflate cuff with an extra big arm sleeve, because even though I'm not a bodybuilder anymore, I still have a big arm compared to normal people. And you have it in your house, you sit it there, you test your blood pressure a few times a day, and you'll know if there's any problems. And if you do have problems, you could take some blood pressure meds while you're on the Trenbolone. You could take some ACE inhibitors as a prophylactic type of thing, but just don't go crazy with the dosage. Now, like I said, some people have the mental and the physical problems. Some people have such bad physical problems that they can't, it messes up the digestive tract. They get chronic hiccups, they get indigestion, or they get diarrhea from it. If that's the case, you might not be able to take it. I do know a few people who just cannot take any amount of, they can take one shot a week, it's too much. So you have to figure out who you are and what category you fit in, and a little trial and error, and just don't overdo it. There's no reason to.
Alex guards the buggy. Have you ever heard about cases of feet neuropathy in bodybuilding and how they were treated?
You mean, I guess we're getting back to the old, diabetic neuropathy. I mean, that's, I don't know what else was a neuropathy in the foot. I mean, if you take too much GH, sometimes you get like numbness in the toes. Usually it's mostly the hands or the fingers. If that's the case, you cut the dosage back, and that usually cures that. If you have a neuropathy because of you're running high blood sugars and maybe you're diabetic, obviously taking care of your blood sugars is going to solve that. I don't know what other type of neuropathy that he's referring to in his feet. If it's like idiopathic just implies that no one knows what the cause of it is. It just happens. And then they have to treat it. A lot of times they'll try to give you stuff that increases circulation. Sometimes some of those nitric oxide releasing products work really well. Even try beetroot extract and stuff like that. But I'm not really sure what's causing your neuropathy, so it's very hard for me to kind of give you advice on how to address it.
Chest development. This is one that we do get a lot of questions about fairly often. The question is simply between incline or flat bench press, but I do want to take it a step further because, when we talk about chest development, we do talk about the debate between free weights. And you see the expansion of gym equipment makers now and how advanced some of these machines have gotten. How do you, first of all, I guess your answer to flat versus incline, but then now with the acceleration of how these machines have become so hyper focused, hyper targeted to every muscle group, how do you incorporate that now in terms of overall chest development?
I'll tell you this. What am I, 56 years old now? And now that my shoulders, have been fixed and I can train, you know what I do for chest when I go into the gym? The same workout I did in 1995. I go to the incline bench press and I barbell press incline. From there, I go to the incline dumbbell press on a very low incline on the bench, and I do dumbbell presses, free weights. Then I will go to a hammer strength or other machine that I feel, maybe some of these newer machines that are out now which I haven't really tried that many of them, but I see there's some good, interesting chest machines out. And I would probably do couple sets there. And then I would finish up with some sort of a fly movement, whether it be dumbbell flies or cable crossovers or I really like, there's a machine in my gym in Crunch that I like. That's a fly machine. Now, the reason I do that is because free weights require that you balance the weight. So anytime you have to balance a weight, whether it be barbell or dumbbell, you're getting more development out of it because you're working the stabilizer muscles as well. I do everything incline. You know why? Because when you incline, because no one has a weak lower chest. Everyone has a weak upper chest. And when you're doing incline presses, as long as it's not too steep, Daniel, if you go too steep, then you're working your front delts. So I do very low incline, pressing movements. And when you do that, you're working the upper pecs a little bit more, but the lower pecs, the mid pecs still get most of the movement. Okay, see, it's not like you're cheating. You can't just isolate one area of your chest, but I can cheat a little bit to try to work the upper area more because that looks more impressive when it's developed up here. And most people are shallow up here. So most of what I do is incline. Like I said, incline barbell, incline dumbbell. Occasionally I'll throw in some flat stuff, but I just biomechanically it's not that good because it kind of throws your elbow, your shoulder joint into a weird position when you're doing flat. So I do everything with a little bit of an incline. And then I go to the machines are my third movement usually, or fourth movement, and or both, because the machine stabilizes the weight. So you might get a really good contraction on some of these new machines. Even hammer strength, I still feel the hammer incline still gives me a really good contraction. But the weight, the machine is stabilizing the weight for you, so you're not going to get the same benefit you would from a free weight. So I make it like a third or second or third movement. My first movement is always a free weight movement. And if you do that, you're going to get the best chest development. No one will deny that, okay? Now, some of these guys already have great chest development. They can do all machines and it's not going to matter. So don't watch what some of the top level pros do because they built their chest with free weights and now they're just kind of tweaking them with some of these, machines. And let's face it, the machines are more comfortable. They're easier to do. You don't have to load plates on a lot of those. It's just you sit in a comfortable seat. You know what I mean? That's why people use machines. But don't replace your free weight movements with machines if you're still trying to build a good chest because you're not going to get it. I'm telling you.